Hello and welcome to today's class on understanding geography with diagrams. Today we'll be talking about the urban system and urban hierarchy. Now let us understand the concept of the urban system. See, the concept of the urban system was introduced by the Brian J. L. Berry. Urban system is defined as any network of interdependent urban places. The nature of interdependence among the urban places may be economic, political, social, and cultural. See, basically, it says that there are a network of urban places and the interdependence upon them is called your urban system. This is the basic understanding. Basically, I would say, let us say we have Bhubaneswar, we have Cuttack, we have Jagat Singhpur, we have Puri. Now, this entirely is an urban system. How it is an urban system? What is the dependence upon the Puri on Bhubaneswar? How the people of Bhubaneswar are dependent on Puri? Let us say people from Puri are dependent on Bhubaneswar for the hospital facilities, and we can say that people of Bhubaneswar are dependent on the Puri for, let us say, for the aesthetics or for the tourism purpose. This is the example of your urban system. Next. Now let us understand what is this urban hierarchy. Basically, from this statement or from the entire word itself, from these two words, we can understand that we have metropolitan areas, we have cities, we have towns, we have villages, etc. This is nothing but an urban hierarchy from the top to the bottom. Now let us understand the statement. The idea of the urban hierarchy is central to the concept of the urban system. This is easy. The urban hierarchy concept considers that the urban places vary in population, size, and economic function. As we had mentioned, obviously the metropolitan city will have a greater economic function when compared to the other cities and towns as well as villages. And the analysis of this urban hierarchy mainly relates to the ranked order of the cities based on different criteria such as the population, size, economic power, retail sales, and number of industrial workers. Now, let us come to the syllabus. Within the syllabus, we have it has been talked about the urban hierarchy. Now, with respect to urban hierarchy, we'll be studying two things. First, we'll be studying the concept of the primate city concept, and in the second, we'll be studying about the rank size rule. However, in today's class, we'll be just covering the primate city concept, and in the next class, we'll be taking up the rank size rule for the simplicity and for better understanding. Now, what is this primate city concept? And how to attend a question in case if there is a question on the urban hierarchy? Now, if there is a question on urban hierarchy, remember that you have to write both the primate city concept as well as your rank size rule. You cannot have the pleasure of just writing one. Now, with the clarity, let's move on to the primate city concept. Now, what is this primate city? See, primate most of all understand as an ape. Please, it is not that. Let us say that primate is nothing but a prime city or a major city. How? Let us first understand who gave it. This actual theory was given by Mark Jefferson. What is the law? The law says that within the settlement system, as we had talked about the settlement system, there exists one large settlement followed by a chain of multiple towns. Please understand this. It says that there is one large settlement followed by a chain of multiple towns. Example, we can have a metropolitan city. Let us say this is Hyderabad, which is a metropolitan city. How do you define a city as a metropolitan? A metropolitan city is the one which is having more than 10 lakh population. And surrounding the metropolitan cities are many other smaller cities. We can call them as tier 1 or tier 2 towns. If you have read the NCRT geography, then you would be better able to understand what is a tier 1 and a tier 2 town. Next. Large settlements exert supremacy not only on the population size but also its role as a political, economic, and social center for the country. Simply, this statement says that large settlement, or I can say larger cities, they all not just are the means they are not just the source of the population, means not just we have a greater population over there, but also that they are the potential hub or the potential center, or we can say they are the potential center where the economic power, the administrative power are established. Let us say Bhubaneswar itself. Next, but why does this primate city grow, or what is the reason for a city becoming a primate city, or I can say a larger city or a prime city? First and foremost reason is that ki early mobilization of location or resource benefit. What is the location? For example, if it is located near the sea coast, example Singapore, we can say Kuala Lumpur. These are some of the cities that have the locational benefit. Next, resource. What exactly could be the resource? Let us say Hyderabad, Bengaluru. These are all the examples of a primate city. But what are the resources over there? I would say the resources is nothing but the IT, that is your industrial technology hub, is the resource. Similarly, resource can also be with respect to the mineral. We can talk about the Raurkela steel plant. We can say that it's basically resource. It's a resourceful region, or we can say that it's basically the location of your of the steel plant where the iron is being manufactured. Simple. Next, immigration of the quality population. Now, with respect to this, I would like to give you the example of Australia. See, Australia, what happened was that it was a European country where the population was very less. No, sorry, the population of the Australia was very less. But slowly and slowly, what happened was that people traveled from Europe, from Canada, from America, and then they settled in Australia. So it says that even the immigration of the quality population multiplying the economic capacity of the city, resulting in the development of your primate city. Simple. Let us understand some of the examples. We have London. Now London, it is 7 times bigger than your Liverpool. Both London and Liverpool are the cities of the United Kingdom. Again, we have the Copenhagen, which is 9 times more than the Arhas. Again, we have the Mexico City. We actually called it as the Mexico. We do not call it as Mexico. Mexico City with 5 times greater than the Guadalajara. Next, let us understand the concept of the index of primacy. What is this index of primacy? Index of primacy is nothing but the measure of the relative importance of the largest town in a nation or a region. Simple saying that how far a particular town is important. That is called as your index of primacy. As per the index of primacy, for a settlement to be a primate city, it should have a population greater than the next ranking settlement. Very simple to understand. If I say we have Bhubaneswar, if I say we have Cuttack. For Bhubaneswar to be the primate city, it should have double the population of that of Cuttack. Simple. Or I say if Cuttack has to be the primate city, again it has to have double the population when compared to Bhubaneswar. This was called as the index of primacy. The formula is P1 by P2, where P1 is the population of the largest town, P2 is the population of the second largest town. Now, let us see how far is this concept of the primate city very much applicable. Now, this is the thing of the universal applicability of the primate city. This I have written it for your understanding only, but you do not need to write this in your examination. Basically, we'll have an understanding of this. We'll be in detail discussing this in the next in our forward slides itself. You also do not need to write this or this. So basically, now let us analyze how far is this primate city concept applicable. The concern with respect to the universal applicability and the concern with respect to desirability. Desirability means how far is a primate city important or we need it. Now, understand this. The primate city concept as the approach of settlement hierarchy study proves to be practically valid only by deleting the index of primacy and incorporating multiple primacy. Understand this statement. This statement says that the index of primacy that we actually talked about is nothing but a false concept, or we can say it's a flawed concept, because across the world we have multiple cities which are even closely located, and it is difficult to say that this city is a primate city and that city is not a primate city. Hence, we can say exactly both Bhubaneswar and Cuttack can be primate city. We cannot say that this Bhubaneswar is a primate city and Cuttack is not a primate city. Both of them can be a primate city. In the worldwide perspective, well-distributed growth makes priority component of regional and geographical planning, which discourages the growth of primate city, which makes multiple primacy more valid in the global perspective. If you find the statement to be complicated, then I can simplify the statement. It says that growth and planning across the nation has been uniform. It is not that government focuses only on Bhubaneswar and it forgets about the rest of the country or rest of the state. So we can say that the government has a focused growth approach. Hence, there is multiple cities are developing rather than one city. In today Odisha, we can say we have the Raurkela, which is a developed city. We have a Sambalpur, which is a developed city. We have the Bhadrak, which have a developed city. Again, we have a developed city in Baleshwar. So the concept is that the government of the day, actually what it does is that it actually tries to have a development uniform rather than focusing upon a particular city. For example, let us say that within when smart city concepts came up, two things happened. That two cities came into consideration. Apart from Bhubaneswar, there was also Raurkela taken into consideration. So basically, what we understood is that the government is trying to have a proper development, or it's trying to have a wide development and not just a concentrated development. Simple. Next. And that the primate city, let us understand the concept of the primate city, or we can say sorry for that, the development of the primacy in the world is regulated by size of the country, natural factors, cultural factors. In terms of size, see, general pattern is that small sized country with less diversification or diffusion factors. What are diversification diffusion factors? Diversification means the population is not moving out. Diffusion means very less population is coming in. Correlates to the single primate city. Example, we have the Copenhagen, Oslo, Helsinki, Riga. Represents the excellent example of small European country. Small European country, that is, these are the example of your single primate city. Next, we again have the multiple means in the small size category itself. See, over here it is. Deviation to this combination correlates to the fact that small sized country like Japan, Osaka, in Japan we have the Osaka, Nagoya. In New Zealand we have the Auckland, Wellington, Christchurch depicts multiple primacy. So what is there to understand? In terms of size, first of all, we talked about the small size countries. Within the small size countries itself, we categorize it into again two parts. One was that country, small size country with multiple primacy, and small sized country with the single primacy. Within the multiple primacy, we took the example of Japan and we took the example of New Zealand. Again, with respect to the single primacy, we took the example of the Sweden, we took the example of Norway. I hope you understand that these are nothing but the capital of Sweden and Norway. Kindly find out in the map where is Oslo, Helsinki, Riga and Copenhagen are located. This will be important for your marking. Next, the big sized country commonly correlates to multiple primacy. Again, it says that now within the big size country, again we have the multiple primacy. Let us take the United States of America. Again we have the multiple primacy. Multiple primacy means we have more number of cities. Example, we have in the USA Washington DC, New York in the East Coast. Similarly, Los Angeles, San Francisco in the West Coast. Kindly look into this in the map. This would be very helpful for your map marking. Next, again Australia, we have the NCT, Canberra, Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne, all almost located in your eastern coast, this part. Deviation to this combination is Argentina. Now Argentina, I hope you must know that the Argentina is located in the South America. This says that this is the part of Argentina. It says that though Argentina being eighth largest country of the world, it has only a single primate city, that is your Buenos Aires. So basically what we understood that in terms of size, we took the small sized country and we took the large sized countries. In the small sized countries, we discussed the single primacy, means there is only one important primate city or one important large city, and then we talked about the multiple primate city in the example of Japan and New Zealand. Again, within the large states, we took the example of the USA and Australia, and again within the large states, there was a this two are the example of the multiple primacy, and in case of single primacy, we took the example of your Argentina, which had Buenos Aires as the as only one of the primate city. Next next is that natural factor, how natural factor is responsible for the primacy. It says that unfavorable physiography and climate forms the cause of the concentrated development of the primate city in the big countries of the world. St. Petersburg, Moscow, Volgograd in Russia, you can see that all the three primate city of the Russia, they are located completely to the western side of the Russia, very close to each other. Similarly, you can see Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, Canton in China, along with the Brasilia, Sao Paulo, Rio de Janeiro. These are some of the again countries of the Brazil. These are basically located, means they are basically located very close to each other because of the physiographic problems. Let us say what, for example, in the Russia actually is that these cities are located to the western corner. I can show you in the diagram itself. See, these are located all to the western side because this entire part is nothing but your Siberian area, and that is very cold area. Similarly, you can look into the Brazil side. I haven't drawn Brazil over here, but Brazil, Rio de Janeiro, Sao Paulo, these are all located over here because most of the areas over here are completely covered by your tropical rainforest. Simple. I hope you understood the natural factor. Now let us come to the culture based multiple primacy. It says that how culture is actually responsible for the development of the multiple primacy. See, primacy relating to the small sized country such as the Italy includes Genoa, Milan. Genoa and Milan, these are nothing but the Protestant Christianity, and Naples is nothing but the Roman Catholic. What are the Naples and Rome are the Roman Catholic, means they follow the direction of church. Genoa and Milan are Protestant Christianity, means they do not follow the dictates of the church, means whatever the Pope has to say or whatever the church has to say, not necessarily that they will follow. So this culture has also been responsible for the development of this multiple primacy. This is Italy, we have the Rome, we have the Naples over here, but we have the Genoa, Milan, means we can see that there are multiple primacy, but they are located at a very great distance from amongst themselves because of the culture based factor. Again, in the combination of both natural and cultural factors determining multiple primacy in Canada forms the excellent example that where natural and cultural factor both are responsible. Example we have is the Quebec, which is the French capital, because people speak French over there. Culture as well as nature. How nature? Because it is quite located to the near to this Great Lakes. Again, Toronto is your English capital. Ottawa, again the administrative capital. Montreal. Just look at this. Quebec, it's Quebec, Ottawa, Toronto. All these are located nearby to each other because of both the cultural as well as natural factor. Cultural factor means language. Look at this. Quebec, French capital. Toronto, English capital, means English is spoken more over there, and hence they are located very close to each other. As you can see, they are also located near to the Great Lakes. So natural factor and cultural factors are responsible. Now let us look into the concept of the primate city in context of India. Now in India, what happened is that we never found a primate city at the national level. For example, Delhi is not a main city at the national level, or we cannot say that India has only one city, Delhi, which is a main city. No, that is not the thing. Rather, we can say Delhi is your administrative capital. We can say Mumbai is your commercial capital. We can also say that Your Amritsar, this Chandigarh again remains one of your commercial capitals, etc. Now, why actually this happened that we do not have such a large primate city? First of all, geographically, the country was large, hence diversified development. Second, historically, what happened was that India was never unified until 1947. Prior to 1947, what happened was that we had presidency town. We have the Bombay presidency, we had the Bengal presidency, we had the Madras presidency. So what happened was that there was a diversified development. Next is that the primate city development is essentially a political directive process. Please understand, see, you can, no need to write this entire large point, you can just cut short if you understand that India does not has a strong unitary government. Please understand this. In polity, what happens is that we have learned that we have a strong central government, but actually what happens is that there is a distribution of power between the central government as well as the state government. State government has certain financial powers, as a result of which it does invest in diversified growth and development. Hence, for example, in Odisha, we do not have only one primate city. Rather, we have multiple primate city. Similarly, in case of your Madhya Pradesh, we have multiple primate city, Bhopal, Indore, etc. Let us talk about Maharashtra. Again, Maharashtra, we have multiple primate city. Let it be Mumbai, let it be Thane, let it be Pune, let it be Kalyan, etc. So basically, this is what we got. That it was basically the political structure that we have a quasi-federal structure that was responsible for the development of the multiple primacy, that is both at the national and state level, and there was the complete absence of the primacy just only at the national level. Now, let us talk about the regional primacy in India. We'll talk about the regional primacy by dividing the primate city regions into the four parts. Northern region. In the northern region, what happens is that Delhi is one of the primate city, or as the statement says, Delhi in the northern region is continuously rising primate city. Why is it rising primate city? Reason first, capital. Next, central government is focusing more on the infrastructure, industrial and other all development. Obviously, you can say that the metro rails are the first to come in Delhi because of this particular purpose. Again, Delhi has many educational institutions and all these are leading increasing step to the primacy. Now let us look into the eastern region. In the eastern region, we have the Calcutta as one of the primate cities. Now, why that Calcutta became one of the primate cities? Reason being, number one was that historically, prior to 1947, as you must know, that Calcutta became the capital city until and unless in 1911 itself the capital was transferred to Delhi. Till then, Calcutta became the capital city of the British India. This was the number one. Number two was that there was very slight competition from any other city in the eastern region because of the economic and the administrative importance. Next, Calcutta merged that Calcutta merged as the large city of the eastern region. It further produced agglomeration effect in the whole region. Understand this. Recently, there was a thing that the Calcutta is expanding and it is expanding towards the East Calcutta Lake. East Kolkata Lake, as you must know, is nothing but your Ramsar site of the Calcutta. So it says that what happened was that if Calcutta was over here, then there were smaller developments over here. But as what happened was that the Calcutta engulfed this entire development and slowly Calcutta started increasing. This is what the point tries to justify. Next. Being the largest urban place in the region, Calcutta became important city in terms of employment, education, center of many opportunities for the migrant. Hence what happened was that Calcutta remained the only million plus metropolis in the region until 1981. Means up till 1981, Calcutta maintained its strong primacy. At the same time, what happened in the northern, western, and southern, at least there were two primate cities that were developing in this region. But in the eastern region, it was only Calcutta that was developing as a primate city. Now, this is the problem. This was majorly the problem that when we say that the eastern India has lesser urbanization when compared to western India. Now, understand this thing. Eastern India has lesser urbanization when compared to western India. But Eastern India has more primacy when compared to the Western India. Understand this when we read of the Western region. It says that the primacy exists in the Western region, although comparatively less than the Eastern region. Why? Because in the Eastern region we can say that if we look at the what is the largest means which is the greatest city that we have, or which is the largest city that we are having, everyone will point out that we are having a Kolkata in the Eastern region. But now let's compare it to the Western region. Western region we have multiple million plus cities. We can bring out Mumbai, we can bring out Ahmedabad, Surat, your Thane, Kalyan, Pune. Now this are means we can say that in the Western India the urbanization is more but primacy is less because there is no one large city. But in Eastern India what happens is that the urbanization is less but primacy is more because we have a large city. What is the large city? Calcutta. Now, in the southern region. In the southern region, first of all, the very first thing that comes into mind that Chennai must be the primate city. But this was not the thing. Because Chennai was never a primate city. Although the relative primacy of the Chennai has declined after 1981. The other two major cities on this region with the close competition to Chennai are Bangalore, Hyderabad. I hope you understand that both these are the IT hubs. These two cities became very significant in the region because of their importance at the IT hub in the post liberalization period, means post 1991. Now let us move into some other factors. In states like Odisha and Rajasthan and Bihar, primacy is missing because there has been a uniform development. Next, in the northeastern states like Sikkim, Manipur, Meghalaya are showing tendency towards the primacy, especially in the state capital. Understand this. Odisha, Rajasthan, Bihar, what happening is that we are having uniform developments. But on the other hand, in the northeastern states, they are focusing completely upon their capital of the states. Next, after independence, the tendency towards the primacy is increasing due to the growing developmental activity in the state capital. This says that basically what is happening is that more investment, more MNCs that are coming, they're basically preferring the state capital rather than any other centers because the state capital is more well connected, well connected with the road, railway, airway, and that is the very reason that the tendency of primacy is increasing. Next, we have the government schemes such as the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, Amrit, Hriday, Smart Cities are not just the target to make the primate city substantial, but also focuses on development of the multiple primacy. Understand this. It says that all these government programs are now focusing upon the multiple primacy so as to reduce the urban congestion, so as to reduce the slum population of the state, slum population within the capital. Sorry. Next, the law of the primate city still remains relevant, but the sequence that Jefferson identified exists no more. It says that the law of the primate city again it is relevant, but again multiple primacy, not single primacy. Jefferson, what did he say? He said about single primacy. He never said about the multiple primacy. But in reality, it is multiple primacy that exists in the world. That will be all for today. In the next class, I'll be talking about, or I'll be taking the lecture, or I'll be giving the lecture on your rank size rule. Thank you.